Hey, folks, this is Mickey G. In this edition, Rodney and I talk about everything from black quarterbacks in the NFL to the difficulties of being a parent. Well, we hope you enjoy this edition of Old Fools Talking Old School. Well, all this mess that I get myself in doing and all, we planned a MLK Day event for Monday that
Mhm.
includes a walk down through the old neighborhood. And when we got the weather forecast, I'm like, it's going to be the coldest day of the year, Monday. And they were like, well, uh, you know, back in the day when they was marching, they had to put up with a lot more than cold weather. They had dogs, biting at them and fire hoses and all that. I'm like, okay, so I guess we're gonna do this thing. So,
They just told them, yeah, they had to. We ain't got to now.
yeah. Yeah, so, we folks that we were gonna have a little event anyway afterwards, inside at the gym. So, Walmart came through and gave us some hot chocolate and some water, and, the girl that's on our committee that works out there is working on getting a few sets of hand warmers and feet warmers and stuff. So we're gonna bundle up. It's not that far of a walk, actually. It's just sort of around the old neighborhood. So we're gonna bundle up and go out there and do our thing for Brother King. So
Yeah.
it just seemed like uh, this year 'cause we were talking about that, and I'm like, well, I don't ever remember a year when an inauguration happened on uh, MLK Jr. Day. I said
No,
maybe it did in the past. I just didn't pay attention to it, but
I don't remember it either.
yeah. So there's a lot. There's a lot going on just that one day. And but yeah, we're going to do that thing. But it's supposed to be. I mean, not only cold, but the wind's supposed to be up, and so we just said, hey, if you want to do it, you can do it. If you don't, just wait and come on to the program that starts at noon. So we'll see how many show up. Yeah.
Yeah, especially folks getting up in our age, we have to watch out for that pneumonia and flu stuff.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's why I was telling them. I said, because I'm gonna be doing more filming of it for my program. I said, yeah, I'll be well bundled up. So we're going to see.
I heard that. Yeah, I got to get out of here tomorrow. They basically told us to be prepared to be shut in. It was snowing earlier.
Mhm.
And I had to reschedule an MRI. I don't know what I was thinking on a Sunday. He said, well, will Sunday be all right? I'm like, yeah, I'll be all right. Now it's here. So I got to go in there tomorrow.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I was watching this game, boy. I tell you, time definitely have changed, boy. There's more young black quarterbacks in the NFL than I know than any time ever.
Oh,
But it
yeah.
just seemed like just more and more. You got sort of the old school with Mahomes and Russell Wilson and that group, and then you got these new guys, these young guns coming up. I'm like, damn, they started to take over.
And they done blown that milk way out of the park.
Yes, buddy. Yes,
You know?
buddy.
And then the new crop coming in, the first two supposed to be tough. And the young boy from Miami and then Dion's son, they were the
Right.
first two supposedly coming out. And, but yeah, I love it when they break the myths. You know, got these brothers, all they needed was a chance anyway.
Yeah. And it seemed like now when they draft them, they sort of build around them. It seemed like back
Yeah,
in the old days, they always would be the number one pick for the worst team in the league, and they wouldn't do nothing to build around them, and they didn't succeed. But now it seemed like more and more that either they've got some pieces there when they get there, or they draft or trade for some pieces to try to make them successful. That's the thing that I really like about it, notice has changed? Because it seemed like it used to always be, they would go, like I said, to a bad team, usually cause the number one pick anyway, but they wouldn't do a whole lot to help them.
No, plus they wouldn't give them nothing but a year or maybe two, and then they either get rid of them or they're gonna make them a defensive back or wide receiver or something.
Yeah, yeah,
And everybody for a while there, they had the old heads in there. Everything black that played quarterback was a project.
right,
You know,
right.
hell, you can't get no experience standing over on the sideline, and then half the time you ain't even activated. And but I think a lot of it has to do too with they didn't got some of these old head coaches up out of there with that old stereotype. They got a newer brand like these two coaches here tonight. They done been around them young boys before, and they know what the deal is. They ain't falling for the stereotype. Hey, you can win. I don't care if you're pro.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was about to say the same thing. I think that attitude has changed a lot now with like
Mhm.
owners and general managers. It seemed like there was a point to where, well, we have a black quarterback. We ain't gonna get the fans in the stands. They don't want to
Oh
see
yeah,
that kind of thing. Where now it just seemed like you said, he's like, if we win, regardless of who's at quarterback, it's gonna bring the fans in.
yes sir.
And it's all about winning these days. And I think that old stereotype, it definitely has changed to where if you can win, I don't care what color you are, and in a lot of cases, even the backups are
Oh
black.
yeah,
I was
oh
like,
yeah.
I saw when golf went out tonight. I didn't forgot that they had brought Teddy Bridgewater in, and then
I did too.
the other teams, they have backups that they're back like Jameis and people like that. I'm like, well, damn, even a lot of the backups are black, so it's a good thing, and just a change that it's sports, but I think if that could sort of go around in other parts of society, we wouldn't be in the situation we are now.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, I just thought about that tonight when I was watching that first game. You had two going head to head, and then in the second game you had one, and then a backup came in. You had two going head to head then. So
Yeah,
it's definitely a changed world. I still always go back in '70 with the Steelers when they brought my boy Jefferson Street Joe in, and
yeah,
then they got in the playoffs and they benched him and put Jerry Bradshaw back in.
yeah. No, damn well, Justin Street Joe should have been the man up
Yeah, he got
there.
up there.
That's what really messed him up after that. That's when he went astray and got on them drugs.
Yeah, that
It's an unfair society we live in, man. If he
yeah,
had done everything, I mean, can you imagine? You do everything that they tell you you're supposed to do, and it's still not enough.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like I say, yeah, it was a bad situation. And he was, he of course he was a sort of that new era, running mobile
Yeah,
quarterback with an arm like a gun.
yeah,
He had all them assets, but like you say, it just seemed like after that he just sort of fell off the wagon, and just I know one time, man, he was down in Nashville living under a bridge and stuff,
mm,
just homeless and all. He just yeah, he went off pretty quickly. But they seem like these days they try to do as much as they can to uh to make them successful. Saw that story the other day about uh not Jameis, but the guy that Oakland drafted,
oh,
Russell.
from LSU
Um,
guy.
yeah, they were saying that the word was around that he wasn't watching a lot of tape and stuff. And that I don't know if the story was true, but they said it was. But I guess the coaches sort of set him up. They gave him like two or three back in the old days of the old VHS cassette. They gave him two or three of them. They were all blank, and then
Mhm.
like they came back to practice.
Yeah, I've heard
Like
that.
that on the weekend. he was talking about all the stuff that he looked at on the tape and this and this and this and that. And they was like, well, okay, we know he ain't watching tape because he was not knowing them tapes.
I'm telling you. Yeah, they knew. They knew in the beginning anyway. Yeah, he's out there drinking that Robitussin mixed with whatever. Him and that little ugly brother, that rapper. I don't know how he be getting them fine women though.
Yeah.
What's his name? From New Orleans, something like that. he ain't never
Well,
experienced racism.
Lil Wayne.
Yeah, Lil Wayne.
Yeah.
Well, he ain't never experienced racism. Well, black bastard, you living down in Louisiana, tell me you ain't never experienced.
Yeah.
No.
I say the same thing. I mean, I look at him and and like I say, there's a few people that I put in the same category. He's one of them. Dennis Rodman's one of them. There's a
Mhm.
few others that to me just look unclean. So
Yeah,
I
they
don't know
are.
what it is. It just they
Hey, it's like
just
Rosin said, he needs a good bath.
yeah. I said, and Rodman was like that to me. He's like, he just looks unclean. He just looks
Yeah, he does.
nasty, you
Yeah, he
know.
does.
But like you say, if you got some money, it don't matter what you look like.
Yeah.
You can still pull if you got
Oh,
some
yeah.
money.
Oh, that you sure enough don't pull then.
Yeah.
You know, they all of a sudden you handsome. Uh,
But,
it's wild, man. That's just how superficial some of these girls can be out here. They I'm just, I heard this comedian say it, now I've been hearing it a bunch. These women, man, they really love to preach to themselves. Ain't nobody said you was a good woman, but you say. That's for somebody else to say. You know, I I knew he was doing something. My woman's intuition. You ain't got no damn woman's intuition. Ain't no such thing. You know, if you had intuition, you would have never got mixed up with it. The hell you talk about women's intuition? You just knows it. It caught him doing something. You ain't got no
right, right.
damn intuition. So I just laugh every time I see it. And,
Yeah. I know they had a thing on the radio station here this week. This woman uh she was saying that she had called her husband cheating a couple times. I think they'd been married like 15 years. She called him cheating a couple times. She's ready to go. I'm ready to go. I'm
Mhm.
done. I'm done. I'm done. And then find out that his dad, who I guess was very wealthy, was in like stage 4 cancer. And
Oh, I'm not laughing at
the
the cancer, but
right, right. But
I
the
see somebody.
son was, I guess he was standing to get all of that.
Mm,
So her debate now is, I know he a cheater. I know he's, cheating and all, but he about to come into a lot of money. Do I stay basically for the money, or do I go? And money, like you say, money ain't everything. And it was interesting, some of the comments that people were calling in saying, there was some of them to comment, girl, money ain't everything. You need to let him go, and all this kind of stuff. And then there was all of them that called in and say, I tell you what, I said, she said, I'd say, no, I'm staying right there. I'd hang with him. Wait till you get all the money that he's getting to get into the accounts. I'm still his married wife. And then I would go and say, and I want half of it. So it
and
was
that's what them
interesting
scheming
how
suckers gonna do. It's always amazing about them ones so forthright and what they do. Girl, I leave him. You know, you want that kumbaya thing with your girlfriend. Yeah, girl. No damn well they be the first one. Hey, baby, trying to stay.
mhm, mhm. Yeah, I was like, I'm gonna see what they gonna say, and it's always a mixed bag, no matter sort of what the scenario is. It's usually always a mixed bag. But I was like, I'm gonna see what they gonna say when they call in, and I'm like, there's people, you're all those people. I'd rather be
Yeah,
dirt broke than be a prostitute to money and all this kind of thing. And I'm like,
mhm.
well, I think if you gave me enough money, I wouldn't have to be a prostitute to the money.
Yeah, I'm
I
telling you,
said, but I think I can make life pretty well for myself. But
you've been
there's
doing
all
it
those.
with it. You've been
Yeah,
doing it when he was broke.
that's right. Yeah, I'm like, yeah, okay, yeah, ain't nothing wrong with that if
Yeah,
that's your philosophy or that's your way of looking at things. But I'm like, no, I think I can make something work. I'd hate to be out there flat broke, not knowing when my next meal is come. I can sort of deal with that other part for a
just
while.
for the principle of the thing.
Hmm.
Yeah, hell no, I'm gonna stay there. He didn't expect to get that money, and neither did I. So we both in the same boat.
That's right.
We gonna stay
That's right.
until we get it.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, man. So you read those little things sometimes on the internet about the woman hit the lottery or she came into some money. She went home and told her husband something, and I'm leaving, and I'm leaving, and I'm leaving. He waited till he left, and then told him, "Oh, by the way, I came into X amount of money." He, dude be tripping. Usually, it's the scenario with the woman that they do that,
Right,
you
right.
know. And like, no, man, I'm staying.
Yeah. I think especially in a situation like that where obviously, she'd called him, so it wasn't like one of those things where he was like, "No, I ain't never done that. I ain't never done." It's like one of those situations where she called him, and he knew it. He had got caught. So I say, "Yeah, ain't no problem. I'm gonna hang around. We're gonna be there till all that stuff happen." And I said, I might even stay after that and say,
Yeah,
"Look, you know what you done. You can go do what you want to do. I'm gonna go do what I
what I,
want to do now."
there you go.
You know,
What's good for
so
the goose,
that's right.
you know.
And tell him straight up, and if you don't like that part, then I'll file them papers and you're gonna give me half. So yeah, I'm I'm gonna do what I want to do. You can do whatever you want to do.
That's
And
right.
if that ain't good enough, then we'll file them papers. So yeah, I would say the same thing. I mean, because obviously, it's probably one of those things that love aspect probably is not nowhere near as strong as it used to be.
Oh,
So
hell no.
yeah, now it's all a matter of living your life.
That's right. And I lived enough of it broke. I could think I could swallow my pride.
Yes, but because if you look at it, what I guess maybe morally wrong or whatever, what is worse? Knowing that your husband has cheated on you and violated your vows and all the things that come with that, or saying that, well, she's just staying with him because he got his money. Now, I mean, I can't see where there's a whole lot of difference in that.
No,
So no, that wouldn't. I don't think I would have a long debate on that one.
hell no. Man. Or I go hop in my luxury or whatever. I don't give a damn what your broke ass saying.
That's right. And it's always easy to say what you would do when you ain't in that situation. It's always easy to say, "Well, I'd leave his ass in a heartbeat and I'd be gone." Yeah, that's easy to say when you ain't
Yeah,
in that situation.
that's right. And look at the amount of women and men that ain't even got those kind of assets and still figure out it's more advantageous to stay than it is to go.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's
Like,
a number of them find themselves in that kind of situation,
that's
and you
right.
and you think about it, and because the thing that comes to mind, I remember hearing Cookie talk about her situation with Magic, because a lot of people always wonder why she stayed with him when she knew he was cheating and got HIV from cheating and all that kind of stuff. And I don't know, if it hers with the money, knowing that the money would be there. Obviously, I think that was probably some of it, but she said she felt like she was tainted. What man would now want her, knowing that back in those days, especially when we didn't know all we know now about HIV and stuff, when it's like, well, no, man, she might not have it today, but that don't mean she ain't gonna have it tomorrow. Test positive or whatever. So she
Right.
says, she sort of stayed because she felt there wasn't gonna be nobody else who was gonna have her. But so yeah, you just never know. You just never know until you get in that situation, and it's easy to say what you do when you ain't in
Oh
that
yeah.
situation.
And some people love hard. I mean, despite all of that, people still love it.
Right.
But the bottom line is, he didn't cheat on her when they were married. He was doing all that before they got. That's when he was sleeping with all them random women that he find. It ain't good to poke your hole poke everything.
Yeah.
But
Well,
he was out there wilding out because if you remember, I think he told her. He told her right after they got married that when he was trying to increase his life insurance
mhm.
after they got married. He was wilding out doing a bunch of stuff when they were single, especially with all the women out there just bringing it up, handing it
Yeah. Yeah.
with a
Yeah.
bow on it. So
Yeah. And and there were those rumors that it wasn't just women.
Oh,
you
yeah.
remember all the
No,
rumors about him and
yeah,
Isaiah?
yeah. They didn't help it none,
No, they didn't.
you know? Yeah. It's easier to go that route too. You just kissing on the court.
Yeah, yeah,
Ain't
that didn't help matters either. So, but
it
yeah,
ironic that both of their sons end up being gay?
yeah. Oh, Isaiah's son is too? Of course, I knew
Yeah,
Magic's was.
yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Magic kind of flosses his son, but uh, I think Isaiah was kind of on the embarrassed side. He don't say nothing about his son.
Yeah, yeah. Well, from reading that article about Magic, he was saying at first he was that way too. I mean, he
Oh
was
yeah,
almost mad at his son. How could you, sort of, disgrace me and the family and all this kind of stuff? And then, he said they had a little heart to heart one time, and he just sort of understood where he was coming from. It's almost like, well, there ain't nothing I can do about it. This is just how I am, and if you don't, if you can't accept it, then I'll just move on, and he said that, that was when he realized that this is still my son,
yeah.
and I'm gonna deal with it. Sometimes I must say sometimes I see him and I'm thinking,
Oh, he's
can't you
ridiculous.
tone it down? You
Hell
know?
yeah. I mean, he my son. I'd be like, put on some jeans. You can wear that for a day. Man,
Yeah, I tell you, he sort of flaunts it. I mean, I'm like, okay. I mean, like I say, I guess I'm gonna be me, and this is me. I mean, just like we were talking, the other time about some of these girls who come out and they start with, you know, hardly nothing on and showing all the ass and everything else. And then later on, they want to be considered sort of, like, "Well, you got to take me serious. I ain't about, the T and A and all that kind of stuff."
mhm.
And you think, well, no, no, that's how you got out there. That's how you started things. Now you all of a sudden want to come back and say, well, you need to sort of disregard all that. But, it seemed like with him, at least, he was just like, "Hey, this is how I am. This is how I am, and I'm just gonna be that way. And if, you can't accept that, then I need to move on." But, it seemed like I've seen some family photos, and it's like, damn, he
Yeah,
just
yeah.
Magic
You,
smiling and Cookie smiling.
yeah, man.
I'm like, "Okay.
He was supposed to be hooked up with some rapper dude.
Oh, really?"
Yeah, man. I'm like, no, no, no. Y'all can't come to Thanksgiving. You know? Come by yourself.
Oh,
but
yeah.
but that's one of the things, and it's a stereotype thing that, especially as we've grown out of that. At least I have. I think I still don't condone it, but you know what? We are all God's children, and
Mhm.
they're here. Whoever you are and however you are, God put you here. So who the hell am I to say you ain't supposed to be
Yeah,
here? And
yeah. I'm the
I
same way.
I got my whole epiphany about the whole situation changed when I was still in the military. The don't ask, don't tell, and
Right.
know, when you're ignorant to the subject, you believe the stereotypes and all that. So I got to know a guy overseas, and he was gay as hell. Of course, he didn't acknowledge it, but we all knew.
Right.
So that was the closest I've ever been to a gay person. To get to know and to see, hell, they just a human being, man. Who they sleep with is, I don't give a damn as long as you ain't sleeping with me. And he's a nice dude. He, he used to. They lived in the dorm, and we lived like 3 houses down. Well, you came up there to knock him,
Yeah.
and
Oh, yeah.
yeah, he was down in the dorm on the end. He come get Rob, and they go up to Lincoln and go shopping, and I didn't think twice about it. Like, hey, he was just as feminine as Robin. And I kept telling Robin, I said, the dude's gay, Robin. No, he's not. I said, yes, the hell, how can you see that walking flame right there and you tell me he ain't gay? So he kept saying, no, he ain't gay. I don't care what you say, blah, blah, blah. So they went shopping one time, and they went into the store in Lincoln, and they had a bunch of them, when them Philippe shirts they used to wear, women when they first was popular.
Mhm.
And she said, Hell, I tried on one, came out. That running was standing up there with one on. How does this look, Roz? She's like, I didn't know what to say. I said, hell, I told you. She said, yeah, he was more interested in women's stuff. Homeboy had him a vibrator, and he showed over there in the dorm. I was over there one day. Yeah, I got arthritis. I use it for the vibration. I'm like, yeah, you sure do.
Oh, man.
But even after all of that, he's a nice dude.
Yeah,
You get to know him, and he's like, hey, man, you know, uh, it ain't about looking at somebody about their sexual preference. Like you don't want anybody to look at you like that. But
yeah.
at least I did then. I want to know. No, I'm strictly heterosexual. I ain't, all this other come out. Oh, I'm metrosexual. Hell no, I'm heterosexual. I don't want to be no misunderstanding.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But it's funny, and I heard, this is years ago, they were just like, "Oh, no, that's an abomination, and they're going to hell," and all this kind of stuff, and I said, I thought there was only one person that judged. I don't think you have the right to say where somebody's going, all this kind of that ain't your decision.
Right.
They were
You
just,
need to be
he's
worried
going
about
to
where
hell.
your ass is going.
Yeah, they're going to hell, and that's an abomination. And I'm like, you can't make that decision. That ain't your decision to make. I
Right.
said, I'm not saying that they're not, scriptures that talk about, seem to allude to those kind of things. I'm not saying that by any means, but I'm like, that ain't your call. That
Right.
ain't your call. So yeah, you just
Yeah,
never
man. I,
know.
I had an epiphany, man. I'm like, man, these are people just like everybody else.
Yeah.
And then the scenario in my head was, what if one of your sons, man? I was like, ain't no way in hell I can disown my son.
No.
I may not like his lifestyle. I may not, and I'll let him know I don't go for that, but I ain't disowning my child.
No.
Okay, I
No.
can't see that under no circumstance.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just like, if they, you know, have issues with drugs or crime or
Right.
whatever, sometimes you just have to realize that, everybody's different, and
Yeah, they are.
just because you sort of came up in that straight and narrow way and stuff that don't mean everybody's like that. And, I think, your role, if you will, as the parent is to say, I'm here to help you all I can. But I also feel there's a point where you
Right.
say, if you ain't helping yourself, I'm only going to go so far too.
That's right.
But yeah, I
So,
mean,
hey, I'll be the first one to advocate for locking your ass in rehab somewhere if you ain't trying to help yourself, and if especially if I'm accepting you back into the home and you stealing and having people breaking in. Oh hell yeah, I'm finna cut your ass to a point. Oh, I still love you, but you
all
ain't
right.
gonna come up in here, bringing that drama and disturbing my peace. And that's one of the things that our people, sometimes we have a warped way of thinking about loving your loved one. I mean, how many times growing up people had their property taken from them because they know they had a son or a daughter who wasn't no good, getting locked up all the time, and then you let them jackleg lawyers come in and you sign over all your property just to get them out of jail.
Hmm.
Then you have nothing. Man,
Yeah.
don't give up your livelihood like that on somebody that continually keeps messing up, or they don't show up for bail and all of this other stuff. That don't mean you don't love your child, but you can't be no fool about it.
I think so too. I think a lot of parents get into that kind of situation
Yeah,
where they almost feel like if they don't give their last breath and their last dime, they're not doing all to support their family member or whoever it may be. And I'm like you. I think I will help you. I will that first time, if it takes me giving you and paying for it, I will do that.
correct.
But there's going to be very limited opportunities after that because, like
Let
I
them know
say,
it.
you got to be able to help yourself, and sometimes all the money in the world ain't gonna do that for you if you don't want to do it.
Right. And
And
then and then you done spent all your money on him, and now you expect your other kids to help you.
because you did all that for them.
Yeah.
No, I think
No,
there's some I think there's some limits on that kind of stuff, and like you
Sure.
say, not because you don't love them. You know, I guess I look at that as love is one thing, reality is another.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes you got to be able to sort of separate the few, and because a lot of people like that. They play on that emotional part of it. If you love me, and it's not only like addicts, but you could have, you know, girlfriends or spouses or whatever they say. Well, if you love me, you do this, kind of thing.
Mhm.
So yeah, you got to get some points. You got to say, well, no, I still love them. I think I've done my part to help them. They're not willing to help themselves. I feel okay with that. I
But
feel okay with that. Yeah, it can be tough being a parent, especially when you have children that might be sort of different than the norm, but we still love them and we still support them. Well, we hope you all enjoyed this edition. Join us next time. Until then, this is Mickey G. Peace.